So before I begin the details of this watch, I have to ask you guys, this is clearly the Omega Railmaster. It says it in the title, you're seeing it right now on video, but the previous generation Railmaster, I really liked. Not all of the colorways, but for the most part I did. So what do you guys think about this new redesign of the Railmaster? I'm just curious to see what everybody thinks about it. I think I'm going to reserve telling you guys what I think about it, because I don't usually do that anyway with a watch. Let's just get into it. Before we do, I have to say big thanks to Exquisite Timepieces. They're brick and mortars in Naples, Florida. They have actually two current locations that are right next door to each other, but I hear a rumor there might be more. And they're a powerhouse in the industry. They have over 60 brands. I don't even know if they keep count anymore. They have a ton of brands they're authorized dealer for, as well as a really healthy pre-owned collection. And some of those, I'm going to be honest with you guys, they're pre-owned. Trust me, they're basically new. So I'll put a direct link to this watch from their website, as well as direct contact information to get a hold of my guy, Tyler, who I've bought a ton of watches from. I don't know, I've never really kept count, but I'd probably be ashamed to tell you guys how many watches I've bought from Exquisite. It's been a lot. But I've never really bought their like crazy, because they have some like super high-end stuff, like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah, they carry those brands too, which is awesome to be able to see those. But that's outside of my wheelhouse for sure. Let's get into this guy. This is the current Omega Railmaster. Clearly the gray dial with a gradient to the black. 38 millimeter case. The lug to lug is a pretty short 45. So these measurements are basically the same or really close to what the old one was. The redesign is mostly in the dial. 12.75 millimeter thick. You can see you have a double dome sapphire crystal, as well as a sapphire display case back. The lug opening is 19 millimeter. I know it's a little weird, but I think it's less and less weird as time goes on. The 21s and the 19s and stuff like that, because there's tons of strap options. And honestly, if you're going to buy an Omega, I would either stick with the Omega bracelet or the Omega strap options that are available for these watches, because it's nice to keep that brand cohesion, and they're just super high quality, just like the rest of the watch. I mean, all the way down to the spring bars. Trust me, if you've ever changed out a strap on one of the Omega watches, if you slow down and pay attention to the spring bar, just look at the spring bar compared to another brand, they're nicer. They're just nicer. It sounds weird, but it is. The bracelet does taper down to 17 millimeter. You have pretty short links, so yes, it's a butterfly-ish clasp, but you're going to be able to get a good size on that. So the way this works, it's not a 50-50 butterfly clasp. You fold over this one, and then this one kind of overlaps it, and then you have a double pusher. So yeah, kind of butterfly-ish. And then, of course, we have that beautiful display case back showing off that Master Coaxial 8806 Metas movement, which has a 55-hour power reserve and is anti-magnetic to 15,000 Gauss, which is basically, you're not going to magnetize this. Not possible. So 150 meter water resist with that 6.1 millimeter signed screw down crown. And again, that closer look of the finishing on these Omega watches. There's really not too many brands, definitely at this price point, that surpass the finishing. But honestly, even some brands, well, I don't know. Once you get to this point, the finishing should be on another level. And Omega definitely brings that. It's very sharp, you know what I'm saying, from the brushing to the polishing. The polishing is mirror-like, and then the brushing is very deep and consistent, if that makes sense. Now the dial. Very smooth gradient dial configuration on this. Very symmetrical dial. The Omega logo, the branding, and then Railmaster in the traditional cursive, and then Swiss made is the text on the dial. 12, 3, 6, 9 at the cardinal positions, and then you have those iconic triangles, and then you have that very well done, full polished, super legible handset with a broad arrow on the minute hand. Very clean looking indeed. Let's pop it on my 7 1/4 inch wrist so you can see what this snapshot in time $5,800 watch looks like. So there it is on my 7 1/4 inch wrist. It is a good, clean, classic looking watch. If I were going to get a Railmaster, I would definitely do it on bracelet. I would also probably end up with some strap options, but because of that 45mm lug to lug measurement, I really would be counting on the bracelet, the metal bracelet, to kind of make it look the way I like my watches to look on my wrist. But it's definitely a good size. It's a Goldilocks size. It'll work on a lot of wrist size. Definitely is going to work on a smaller wrist because the bracelet doesn't really extend the lug to lug either. So 45 lug to lug is a little bit on the shorter side, but it just works nonetheless. Let's give it a quick blast with the UV light. Omega always brings joy to the Lume junkies out there. Let me demonstrate. There you go. This thing is incredible application of Lume, and it just shines bright. So it's super legible during the day, very legible at night, and it's very long lasting Lume. So make sure you tell the crew at Exquisite Timepieces that I sent you. Hope you enjoyed this video. I will see if I can get another colorway of the Railmaster. I would like to check out a couple more of them. And honestly, I'd like to check out some more Omega anyway. You know, they got that new Seamaster, everyone keeps pointing it out to me, that has the orange at the cardinal positions, and it's a no date. So that's a Seamaster I definitely need to get my hands on. Look forward to that video. I'll see you on the next one.